morning. Good morning. Hey. This was an exciting talk to do, and Melanie was cracking me up with the book Awakening by Mark Nepo, because it is the most awesome book. And it was interesting when I opened it up this week, because I figured I would find a reading in there. I had forgotten that that was gifted to me by a friend of mine that I've known since the late 60s. And it was just so nice just to read that, and in that moment to have, and this is what awakening is about, to have that awareness and to be so present with those feelings and emotions that were just streaming through my body, my beingness. So here we are, awakening in every moment. And I think the reading was so perfect because it did speak to, in moments we're whole, in moments we have clarity, in moments we're tripping over the garbage or we're saying something to somebody, and oftentimes we want to retract it because we're like, where did that come from? And so the more we exercise those muscles of awareness and awakening, we can become so fully present, so fully aware, and do the best we can in those moments. Much like the quote on the front of the bulletin this morning. The more awakened where we are, that light that streams through us will touch others and help them in their ongoing evolution, their ongoing awakening. About compassion, about love, about kindness, and all of those things. Jack Kornfield, in his book, Bringing Home the Dharma, I love how he says, your life provides the perfect conditions for awakening, freedom, and compassion. There is a way of moving wisely and graciously through the world, bestowing blessings and happiness upon yourself and others in times of trouble and ease. In Buddhist psychology, it's called Citta, C-I-T-T-A, and it's about the mind, heart. And that word really refers to heart and mind as one. And so they look at it from the standpoint of, I'm having these thoughts, I'm aware of things, and things are arising within me. So let me make that journey. As we all know, it looks like a short one, but it's really one of the longest ones I think we can make sometimes to get to that heart space. When we do prayer, Sydney invites us to go into that heart space, because in that space, there's this wonderful opportunity for ongoing expansion, to be open wider and wider and wider, to allow that love to pour through, to allow that love to pour from us into every situation. One of the things about awakening that I keep finding in my life, and perhaps you do too, is it allows me to be more present, as I said a moment ago, with what is happening in my life in general or in the world out there, but also with each and every breath I take, every experience that I'm having, so that when I'm with you, if we're having a conversation, I'm not on my cell phone, I'm not out here doing this, I am so present with you. So imagine the relationships that you have with your loved ones, with your friends, your family, even with a stranger, because we're really not strangers. We're all part of the whole. So to have that experience, truly being engaged in what is being offered in that moment, to me, we are so privileged to have that and to awaken us to that capacity that we have within us, to set ourselves free from those moments when the thoughts stream through. And perhaps the thoughts begin to awaken you to, something that's uncomfortable. You might have a thought and it bumps up against you. And you're wondering, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? Because now my body and the sensory experience is not feeling so good. And oftentimes we fall asleep. We have no clue except to know in a moment we're fearful, in a moment we are panicking, in a moment we're angry or frustrated. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that is part of being human. As this beautiful woman read to us earlier in the reading, it's part of that human experience. But to be able to say, I am so tapped in right now, what can I do with this? What can I do with what's being offered to me right now? And we all do it very differently. You know when you are feeling fearful, chances are you start to feel what? A little contracted, a little constricted. That's how our body responds, sometimes whether we know it or not. Or the feelings in the belly, often, that will get a little unsettled. I know I have neck and shoulder issues that will pop up for me, and then before you know it, I've got a tension headache going on. I'm like, okay, Jeanie, where did that come from? And I can retrace my steps. But retracing your steps, that's a choice, a conscious choice, because I'm saying to myself, this is important to me. This matters to me. That I have deeply committed to being a being on this planet, and I want to continue to choose to live a way of life that allows myself to treat me with more compassion, with more understanding, so that I can do that with you, so that you can do that with others, and we can truly make a difference in the world out there. There's a great quote by Hafiz that says, "Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I'd like to see you in better living conditions." Think about that for a moment. It is so easy to go into a place of fear, is it not? And oftentimes we don't even know why. And I had something happen this week, and it occurred to me as I was driving here this morning that perhaps it would be appropriate to share this. I went to have a few tests done this past week. I've been a little under the weather the last several weeks, and so I went to have a few tests done, some blood work, heart, CAT scan, EKG, and those kinds of things. And I didn't really think about where I was going per se, other than to know it was in Town Lake at the Wellstar Center in Woodstock. So I'm driving there, and then I'm getting to the street to where I'm supposed to turn, and all of a sudden I start feeling this anxiety. And I'm like, what is that about? I'm just going to go get a CAT scan and all of that, and no big deal. And then I realized the place that I was going to was the very same imaging center that I took my mom to 2 days before she was diagnosed with colon cancer. And so I drove up the hill, and it was interesting too, the front entrance was blocked actually, so I had to go in a different entrance, and I thought, okay, there's another way to get into this, and there's another way for me to approach and deal with what it is I'm experiencing. And when my mom was diagnosed and I had to jump in there and do these things, it was a time where it was a whirlwind, because my mastectomy was 2 weeks ahead, 2 weeks coming up in 2 weeks. So there was a lot going on. And as soon as we found out about the scan, sure enough, my mom had already had pretty severe cancer, and it was in a few other places. So it was a memory that I had, but I knew in that moment that I could do whatever I wanted to with it. Like I said a moment ago, we have the capacity in every moment, in every situation, but it calls us to be awake. It calls us to know if we're starting to snooze. Or they say, you snooze, you lose. So perhaps on your path, a time or two you've dozed off, and it's time to wake up. I think it'd be great to write across the wall, in my bedroom anyway, that says, wake up and smell your consciousness. Wouldn't that be great? Because that's really what it is. It's time to take a look at the very consciousness that you are immersed in, the very consciousness from which you create things, right? That's where it comes from, the things that we carry around with us. So, okay, kiddo, wake up and smell your consciousness. Hopefully, if I'm paying attention and tending to it, it will be something that continues to have a wonderful fragrance, the fragrance of God, the fragrance of life, something that will waft throughout my day and remind me that yes, I'm paying attention, yes, I'm on board, and I truly desire to be all that I came here to be. And I think it's those three things that are important. There's the creative part of all that we are. We're always creating something. So become very mindful about what you're creating, how the thoughts seep into whatever it is that you're weaving. And to know that as we're creating, we become what? That living expression of what it is that we're entertaining in that moment. So we're creating and we're living it, and then as we're living it, if you ask yourself, what demonstration do I offer when I'm out in the world? How do I show up so that the outpicturing of my life is something that is truly pleasant? It's truly full of love and peace and joy and gratitude and all the things that we desire to fill ourselves with, so that we have what? So much to share, so much to offer. Life is such a gift, and every single moment has something in it. So when you're feeling constricted or tied down, and maybe your breath perhaps, you've forgotten that you even breathe, maybe it's time to bring yourself to that place of stillness, to that place of quiet, and take time to simply be right where you are. Thomas Merton offers this beautiful little idea. Life is this simple. We are living in a world that is absolutely transparent, and the divine is shining through it all the time. This is not just a nice story or fable. This is true. This is true. He reminds us to look for the sacred in the ordinary. Every single moment, something so precious is offered in every single moment. But again, as I mentioned a moment ago, it is us, you and me, to say, I am willing to be present in this now moment. How do I do that? Everybody's wired a little differently. So you need to get to know yourself. If you don't already know yourself, maybe you do a little bit. But to me, every single day is an opportunity to continue to learn more about you. You might say, oh, I don't know if I'm going to learn everything about myself. I might run in the other direction. I don't think so. You are truly so magnificent and amazing that every single moment can be a reminder of that essence of what you truly are and what you're here for. It's a story that I'd like to share with you. This is a book some of you may have heard of before. It's by Jack Kornfield. He's a former Buddhist monk. He has some great stuff to share, and he's written quite a few books. A minute ago I had a quote from him from Bringing Home the Dharma. But this particular book you've heard of, I'm sure, After the Ecstasy, the Laundry. You know, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So it's pretty much the same. It's how we show up and how we choose, again, to experience life. It's really up to us. It really, really is. But there's this great little story that says, a man falsely identified as a criminal was put in prison. His friend visited and left him a prayer rug. The prisoner went angrily back to his cell. He had hoped for a hacksaw or a knife, and all he'd gotten was this rug. But since he had it, he figured he might as well use it. So he started bowing on the rug to pray. Each day, he became more familiar with the pattern woven into the rug. And he started to see an interesting image there. It was a diagram of the lock that allowed him to open the cell and escape. Freedom of the heart is found not by looking up. It is right here, woven in the colors beneath our feet. Isn't that amazing if you stop and think about your life right now when things have been presented to you? And like I told you this past week when I started thinking about what happened on Wednesday, I was like, okay, how am I going to look at this? Excuse me. It really is an opportunity for me to see what is right here, right now, and to know that the thoughts that I have about whatever past experience, I can choose to honor them and leave them right where they are and not allow them to have any power over me whatsoever. I can just let them be. And then I can say, okay, I have more what? Energy available to me to be right here and right now. And to be that amazing, creative being that I was designed to be and to demonstrate. It truly is fascinating. To me, abundant living is also awakened living. How do you prosper and grow if a lot of the time you're really not present with anything? How can you make wise investments throughout your life? And I don't mean just financially, that's a good thing too, but emotionally. Where are you invested emotionally? If your energy bank account, is it full or is it overdrawn? Where are you investing to truly take a look at, sometimes we don't want to look at our finances or our checkbook or all of those things, but right here today, you can say, you know what? I want to do this differently. I really do want to take a look at this, because if I believe in a universe, in a God that is truly for me, I've got this. Everything, just like what was the diagram revealed in the rug, will be revealed to me in the right moment when I am awake and present. Even the air that just came on, did you notice it? Every little thing to be so present with all that is unfolding around you. I think too of when a pilot is flying an airplane and they put it on autopilot and they set it true to fly whatever to their destination is, do you know that autopilot is constantly correcting? It's constantly making adjustments. Rather than just setting it on its course and saying, okay, woohoo, there's nothing else that has to happen. There is something present right there in every moment that is always making the proper adjustments to keep it true, to keep it on course. You have that GPS already installed in you. It's time maybe to charge it and to plug it in. Maybe you can plug it in through the power of prayer, through community, through doing the things that truly bring you to that moment where you can go, wow, this is nice. Because now I can trust and I can have faith that I am on course. And I can never get it wrong, because everything that I encounter, something is going to be revealed to me, because not because I'm drinking Starbucks coffee and now I have a lot of caffeine and I'm awake all the time and I never go to sleep, but because I have said, yes, this is the life that was destined for me, and I'm stepping into it now. And it's greater than I could ever imagine in my humanness. I think an awakened life perhaps is not so much about exactly what you believe or with whom you share your beliefs. Where or how often, you go to church, you maybe visit an ashram, go to mass, but how you think, how you react, how you behave when you're not in those places. Like I said a moment ago, to find the sacred in the ordinary, to know that whatever it is that you're doing at any moment, I'm awakening. I'm awakening. And the journey to my heart, there isn't any difference, like I said, in Buddhist psychology. Mind, heart, they're one. So that there is such a deep connection, a meshing of those to where I am always, more often than not, present and so aware on so many levels. Choose a way of living that shows you moment by moment and day by day that you are truly, and you know when you're truly doing your utmost, and you know when you're not. And it's not about beating yourself up. It's not about criticizing yourself. It's saying, okay, kiddo, you know what? I want to do better. I want to change that right now, and I can. To own it, to take responsibility for it and say, yes, these things I know will keep me on my course as this creative being, to enjoy and to celebrate peace, love, and joy, like here in One World, to celebrate with gratitude and to appreciate it with every breath you take. So you're doing your utmost to grow, as I said a moment ago, in love, compassion, kindness, and also to connect more deeply with that mind-heart, and so that your inner light never goes out. It may dim a time or two. Of course it will, because that's part of the human experience. But that you are able and that you desire to live this amazing life that I believe you chose before you came here, because I very much believe in soul contracts. And I believe you said, yes, I can't wait to get there. Sign me up. And so here you are. So I wish you the best of everything, the best that life has to offer, because it is so abundant on so many levels. Commit to yourself to become more intentional with the words you speak. Don Miguel Ruiz would remind all of us, be impeccable with your word. And open yourself up to saying, you know what, I'm not going to take this personally anymore. I'm going to allow whatever it is that's happening just to wash over me. I'm going to be aware, perhaps, that something might unsettle me, but I'm not going to contract from a place of anger or fear or frustration. I'm going to open into my mind-heart and let that divine flow carry me along my path to the next destination where I know I'm called to be. Can you imagine how that feels? Can you get into this feeling of that absolute flow of that divine? That's what I want to do here with you in the next few moments, with some sound and vibration, so that you can experience different pieces of it, just like your life, and to allow yourself to simply be with that. Surrender. I know there's that word sometimes you go, Jeanie, I don't know that I can. I invite you to truly do that. And in a few moments, just surrender to whatever it is that's happening. And if you find yourself wandering off, just bring yourself back to enjoy this now moment, and the next, and the next, and the next. Immerse yourself in it. So let's take that breath right now as we prepare for a sound bath, a sound meditation, as you continue on your path of awakened living.